Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's Live. Now firstly I want to apologise for my hair because it is very humid in the UK right now as I'm filming this, and yeah, my straightened hair does not want to deal with it. But after that, we are back for a very special video, and as you've noticed, it is not about New Japan this week, and that is because on Saturday the 23rd of July, which is like a few days ago, I went back to Victoria Warehouse in Manchester for the Revolution Pro Wrestling Summer Sizzler 2022 event, and it was phenomenal. Like, this is the second or third singular RevPro event I've been to. I knew quite a few names on the card, and I was so excited, and I thought, you might have been there, you might watch it on demand, but for those who maybe don't know much about RevPro and maybe want to know what the experience is like, I am here with a video looking at all the matches, the outcomes, and some of the big things that happened during the show, because it was, once again, phenomenal. So let's get going. The show was yesterday, compared to the time that I'm filming it, but if you see me looking down at my duvet, it's because I've got the names of everything and all of the participants, because there were a lot of matches. I think the show went for about 4 hours, give or take, so bear with me. The first match was a 6-man scramble match, and it was all to do with All Elite Pro Wrestling. So it was the All Elite Pro Wrestling's All Atlantic Championship #1 contender scramble match, and it was all for a chance to fight the AEW All Atlantic champion Pac in the main event of the show. And we had 6 participants, some that I knew, some that I didn't, so let me list it. I know RKJ, so that's Robbie Knight Jr., an amazing athlete, very strong but very fast. Similarly, Robbie X, I saw him on the last RevPro show, if you saw my review for that. Like, a lot smaller than a lot of the other guys, but for someone who's 5'1", he's amazing. Like, I always love seeing the smaller guys, because for me, we get underestimated all the time, and Robbie X proves that should not be the case. We then had some guys that I hadn't seen before. So we had Connor Mills, Will Cruz, and Man Like Derbies. I think I'm saying that right. I can't remember his name. Again, amazing. And then there was one guy called Callum Newman, and I feel bad because literally I tweeted about him, because as soon as he came out of the ring, my mum went, "Sonal, is that Jay White?" I personally didn't see the resemblance, but apparently it's a common thing. So these are 6 amazing guys from the UK, all very different styles, very different charismas, and it worked really nicely. So, trying to see. So Will Cruz, can I just say, he is a big man. And he was going against guys either much smaller in like Robbie X or much more athletic style. At one point I thought the ring was gonna like flip over because he was so big. But it was a really nice dynamic. As expected, it was very chaotic because there are 6 men all fighting for this, probably the biggest opportunity of their life. And it was a matter of not only making sure you are in the ring at all times to make sure you can have a chance to get the pin, but being around the ring and aware of your surroundings to make sure you break up a pin. Because even if you're not involved, you could be sat outside the ring and someone could get pinned and you have no influence in that. It was amazing. It was a great way to start, because I think like people like this sort of match, a bit of chaos, getting quite a lot of guys for something later on. It was a nice build up. We got to see some amazing athletes, and in the end, so I know going into it, and a lot of people thought that Robbie X was going to get the win, because I think out of all the guys in the match, he's probably the most well known, especially here in the UK. But that was not the case. Connor Mills got the win, and he is a very good athlete, very likeable. The crowds are really behind him, and it was a really good match. And we saw Connor Mills later in the show, and I will talk about that when we get to it. For anyone who knows me, you will know that, well, you'll understand the reasons why this next match was probably the one I was most looking forward to. It was a special singles match between none other than, I guess you could say, former Young Lions, because they're now on excursion, Shota Umino and Tsuji. When I went to see RevPro last time, it was the first time I'd seen Shota wrestling outside of his black trunks, outside of the Young Lion style. Similarly, this was the first time that I'd seen Tsuji, and I was very excited. I obviously knew going forward, because I got the shock of my life, to find out that Tsuji had turned heel, joined Gideon Grey as part of the Legion, and if anyone doesn't know, they are the same group, and he's the same person that took Okan under his wing when Okan was in the UK for his excursion. And I didn't know what to expect, because we've always seen Tsuji never like a baby face, because with young lions you don't get that, but he was always at the side of Tanahashi, cheering him on, being the guy who is always there for the ace of the company. So seeing him come out was completely different. Can I just say, Tsuji looked great. He's let his hair grow. I think he's also like got a lot more lean. He has sort of, I don't want to say like in a way, but like he has lost some weight, and I think gained a bit more muscle. And his ring gear, oh, he comes out in sort of like a very traditional Japanese gear, but his actual gear itself was quite sleek. It was black and blue, very nice and very different from what I expected. And then Shota Umino came out, obviously with shouts of Shooter, which I still kind of refuse to say. I don't know, if Shota comes up and says, I want to be known as Shooter, fair enough, but for me it's still my Shota in his white, pink and blue gear, so very contrasting to Tsuji to show who the babyface was. Bearing in mind, the last time I saw these two wrestle was in Japan as Young Lions. They have come on so much. I know that guys so like Narita and Uemura are doing great in the LA dojo, but for me, in the UK, Shota and Tsuji are really getting a chance to break away from their Young Lion roots and find their personalities. I didn't think about this, but Tsuji makes a damn good heel. But he was like a sort of a cute heel, if that makes sense. He was cheating, so him and Gideon Grey, whether it was chairs, stick, like Gideon Grey was obviously getting involved. But every time that he was getting booed, Tsuji would have like the cutest little smile. And I'll see if I can pop a picture here that I took. And Shota was being your very standard baby face. Like, it's unreal how much of Tanahashi I see in him. Whenever he was getting beaten down, the crowd got him up, got him pumped. And you could see that even after, like, I think it's been like a year and a half since Shota went to excursion, these two still have an amazing chemistry. In the end, and I think I'm the only person cheering for this, Tsuji got the win, and I was over the moon because he's really growing, and more than just the big guy. We saw him do strikes, still the Young Lion offense, like we see the strength base, core base, but we saw a bit of lucha, and I feel like everyone praises Shota, but Tsuji will not probably get as much credit as he deserves for this match. And yeah, I loved seeing them together again, and I was so proud of them. Like, I followed these Young Lions. They were in the dojo started when I started watching New Japan, I think a few months after. So it's really nice to see their journey. And I also found it funny how literally a few hours later they were sat watching the rest of the show chatting to each other. It was very funny. But yeah, I was very proud of them. Honestly, like, after that match, I'm not really sure the order that everything went, and I think I spoke too much about Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino's match. So let's quickly go through them. There will not be in any order except for the final few matches, but yeah, let's get going on this. So the next match that I'm going to talk about was, let's pick. Okay, so it was a special singles match, another one, between the UK favourite, Speedball Mike Bailey. If anyone has never seen his matches, go and search him. He is phenomenal athlete, combining like martial arts and wrestling, showboating. And none other than one half of the IWGP Junior Tag Champions, the United Empire's Francesco Akira. Now, this is the first time I have seen Francesco Akira live. Never mind, like, as part of the New Japan roster, but just ever. And it was really nice. Like, the age difference, I think, is about 10 years plus. And it'll probably be similar with the experience. But wow, they were both amazing. They are both athletes very much based on athleticism, speed. I guess the standard junior or cruiserweight wrestling. And of course, going into it, Francesco Akira was the heel because Speedball Mike Bailey is Speedball Mike Bailey, a phenomenal athlete, and everyone loves him. Whereas technically, the United Empire are heels. However, Francesco Akira sort of embraced that, and for someone so young, I know he's had experience in Japan and stuff, but he was so well versed in the ring. He knew how to interact with the fans, but still have an amazing offense. And they were very evenly matched. There was one point where they were on the outside, like on the ring. And I think Speedball Mike Bailey did like a moonsault onto Francesco Akira while they were on the edge of the turnbuckle. Like, I would probably fall just getting into the ring, never mind what they did. And it was a great match. Very different pace and like setup to Tsuji versus Shota, very much more high flying and athletic. And as much as Speedball Mike Bailey is the favourite and the more senior guy, I guess, as an IWGP champion, Francesco Akira got the win. And I was really happy to see him do that because he's made a huge mark since he's come to New Japan. And the Empire really needs to keep on this momentum. And I also met him at the end of the show and he's really nice. So I'm excited to see what Francesco Akira can do in New Japan. And he's a phenomenal wrestler. We then had a match for the undisputed British Tag Team Championships. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. And it was between Lycos Jim, who I've seen many, many times before, and two people who I have followed for years, but never actually seen live. And it was TK Cooper and Chuck Mambo. So I used to follow these two when they were in, I think it was Tidal Wrestling. I always just love their vibes. They're very happy. Their gimmick is quite like, it's a bit hippie, sort of stuff you'll see in like the 80s. Whereas Lycos Jim are the heels. And this was a really nice match. Like, the size difference, can I just put out, was huge. The two Lycoses are very small. And TK Cooper and Chuck Mambo are not only quite a lot bigger, but a lot taller. And this meant there was some really nice like interactions going on. The Lycos Jim trying to do everything and anything to get the win, cheating, like they were on a tray, like a dinner tray, they were whacking Chuck Mambo in it. Elastic, like exercise bands. But really, I think it was just really nice for the crowd to interact with TK Cooper and Chuck Mambo. Two guys who literally are, like their tag team name, the epitome of sunshine. But also very talented in the ring. I think sometimes with gimmicks like this, people will like underestimate them and their talent, but they have this amazing chemistry with each other because they have been together for so long. And with all this, it wasn't surprising when, unfortunately for the Lycos Gym, they lost the tag team championships. And we are now in the era of sunshine. I don't trademark that, don't use that. But yeah, I love tag team wrestling. It is one of the most underrated arts, I think. And this match was pure proof of it. There was so much fun going on. There was so many like small storylines and put a lot of amazing wrestling at the core. So if you've never seen any TK Cooper and Chuck Mambo like promos or anything, just search it on the internet because it's great. So surprisingly, not unsurprisingly, there was only one women's match on this show. But it was a good one. It was for the undisputed British Women's Championship. And it was between Alexis Falcon and Alex Windsor, who is the champion. Funny thing, so I saw Falcon at the Progress show that I went to a few months ago. Pure babyface, everyone loved her. She was very different here. She was the heel. She was getting cheered, but she was like, I don't care if you're cheering me. She looked really badass, by the way. Similarly with Alex Windsor, not that I've seen her live, but she came out and there was a blue belt and I thought, the name sounds familiar and the belt looked familiar. I think it was like a month ago, she basically beat Maki Ito at Tokyo Joshi for the International Princess Champion. And I was like, oh my God, I literally watched her and she's amazing. And this match was amazing. These two women, so I'm saying this to my mom, women's wrestling has come on leaps and bounds. Women are allowed to wrestle how they want to, and these two women did. There were strikes, suplexes. It was full on like stiffness. Like these two women combined amazing athleticism, amazing wrestling, but also their personality. So every time that Windsor was getting the attention, trying to get the crowd hyped for her as the babyface, Falcon was dismissing it. She was using everything in her body to come across as this heel person. Even though in reality, most people know she's really nice and a phenomenal wrestler that people want to root for. My mum even said that she gets confused when 1 minute you see someone and they're a babyface and then another show they're the heel. But it was a great match. Women's wrestling really is at a point where I am so happy to watch them and everyone around me is. Windsor got the win because I think, for example, if Falcon had, then she would also get a Tokyo Joshi title shot. So I think it just works for the story, but another amazing match. We then had the match for the British Cruiserweight Championship between two men that I know actually very well. So it was Luke Jacobs, and if anyone's watched my other videos, you'll see he's part of the Young Guns tag team from here in Manchester. I think I've seen him about 3 or 4 times now, and this was one half of their team Luke obviously getting a shot at the Cruiserweight champion against Michael Oku. Again, oddly enough, the last RevPro show we watched, Oku was the babyface. But obviously, Luke Jacobs is the hometown boy. He was gonna be the favourite anyway, so Michael Oku embraced that. He embraced his inner heel, and holy shit, it might have been probably my favourite match of the night. It was so intense. These two guys were so fast. They were flying, they were kicking, the chops. Luke Jacobs' chops, I think, was some of the stiffest I heard the entire night. And it was amazing to see the crowd around them, because you know what's funny? I saw a post on Facebook, I'm not going to say who it was, who was complaining about the state of the RevPro show, maybe compared to, I think, 2016, where the headliner was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shibata. This match proved that RevPro is amazing at giving upcoming talent the biggest shots and the biggest platforms to showcase their talent. People might not know. I think a few shows ago, I wouldn't have known who like Luke Jacobs was or who the Young Guns were. But he shone in this match. Even when he was bloodied, he was still going at it. He was making Michael Oku worried. And Michael Oku has held this belt for ages. And with so much like passion and his tag team partner cheering him on and giving him that passion, even when Oku was willing to cheat with the help of his like second-hand woman Amira, he carried on fighting, and it meant that, you know what, when he got the win and he beat Michael Oku, the whole venue was on their feet, because they couldn't have been prouder for the homeboy. And I could have been prouder, because I have seen him in so many matches, and you've seen both of them develop and grow as wrestlers, and I couldn't have been happier. It was a phenomenal match, showcasing that junior, or in this case cruiserweight wrestling isn't just flippy dippy stuff. It is diverse, and it is just giving smaller guys who weigh less a chance to showcase their talent. Talking of talent, we are back with my favourite tag team in the world, Aussie Open. So Dogzilla and Kyle Fletcher, aka the newest members of the Empire, faced fellow Aussie team the Velocities for, and let me try and remember what it was actually for, it was the Great British Tag League Finals. And like, am I going to be a broken record? I bloody love tag team wrestling, and this match, again, whenever Aussie Open are wrestling, I always say this, you can't have a bad match, and this was no different. Going into the match, the first thing I spotted was, wow, there is a big height difference between the Velocities and Aussie Open. I think one of the members of Velocities is like 5'5", and bear in mind, I think Kyle Fletcher's like 6'1", 6'2". Like, he's a tall boy. And also Dogzilla is like built like a brick compared to the much smaller Velocity guys. But that just helped the momentum of the match, because throughout, Aussie Open really cocky. They were throwing them around like bags of potatoes that weighed nothing. And what's funny is, the Empire, I'd say like a heels, but are not heels, if you know what I mean. Like, they will never cheat, and Aussie Open did the same. They were cleanly fighting, and when they were getting the cheers, like the Aussie, oi, 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 they were embracing the chants, but also, compared to when they were babyfaces, they weren't like, oh my god, this is amazing. It was more like, yeah, you should be cheering for us. We are probably not only one of the best teams in the UK, but in the entire world. And there was some great stuff. So there was one moment where I was really worried about one of the Velocity guys. I think when Dogzilla had him vertical, I think his overbalance and he banged his back on like the, you know where the turnbuckles are? That was painful. But after that, there was flying. That's from the Velocities out. Kyle and Dogzilla were showing their strengths. So they had them in the vertical position. They were swapping. And it was just really good. Like, these guys had some amazing chemistry, all four of them. And shockingly, so you know I always say, like, never doubt the underdog. After it looked like basically Aussie Open were dominating the Velocities got the win. They beat Aussie Open. And you know what? I think it's good. Like, good for them. It doesn't matter if you're big or you are small. If you have heart and talent, you can win. And they did. And it was a great match. Like, I always love seeing Aussie Open, and I will continue to basically fangirl about them for as long as humanly possible and say, yay, they are in New Japan, tag teams better watch out. We then had the main event, which was recorded for AEW, so if you watched AEW, see if you can see me in the background. And it was Connor Mills versus Pac for the... Atlantic Championship, so I think that's it. Before the match started, I saw someone come out with a box on their head in a suit, and I was like, it was Kip Sabian. Like, I don't follow AEW, but I know that is a thing. So he went and sat there, and I was like, damn it, like, it's been a long time, Kip Sabian. And then the Connor Mills came out acting like the heel, because obviously Pac was being probably pushed as a babyface. And then Pac came out, like, this is the first time I've seen Pac since the first ever WWE show I saw, I think 2016 or 2017, where he was Neville. Wow, he was built. The bastard Pac wasn't there to play. Like, yes, I think everyone knew that Pac was going to win in the end, but can I just give props to Connor Mills, who actually massively held his own against one of the veterans of not only British wrestling, but one of the most well-known professional wrestlers in the world. This match was very dynamic. Both guys are very fast and very agile. Connor Mills had the height advantage. Pac had the big titty advantage. If no one gets a reference, it's a K-pop thing. Sorry, I just had to bring it out there. And it was really good. And also, considering Kip Sabian was there was moments with interactions between Pac and Kip Sabian. And yeah, I mean, you'll probably be able to watch it if it's on Dynamite or Rampage. But it was a great match. Again, unsurprisingly, Pac won. But it was just, like, the crowd was on their feet seeing Pac. And it was a huge thing. This is not just a normal RevPro show. We are showcasing our talent to a global audience on AEW. And it shows, yes, British wrestling has had a few not so great years. But we are back and fighting and going to show the world that we are as good as American wrestlers, as Japanese wrestlers, as Mexican wrestlers, and we can do it all. And it was an amazing end to a phenomenal show that went from, it started at 6, and I think we got out at like 20 past 10, and like, it was so worth the money, like, crazy. I had amazing seats, 3rd row, amazing. Like, what else can I say? I got to see again some of my favourite wrestlers, some new guys, my New Japan babies, and I couldn't be prouder. And I really recommend that if you're ever in the UK, or if like you've never come up gone down to London to see a RevPro show, go and do it, because they not only showcase the best of British wrestling, but their ties with New Japan and now like indirectly linked with AEW means there is so much talent from across the world. And if you got excited from the matches that I just talked about, RevPro have their on-demand service, so you can go and watch it. You can watch every single match from the show that I just went to watch. Again, I know this might not be everyone's cup of tea. If you are on my channel as a New Japan fan, and the fact that I'm only talking about 4 or 5 guys you will recognise, I am sorry, but hopefully you've watched the video and I've opened your eyes to the world of British wrestling and some of the stuff that we have to offer. I always love going to see these smaller shows, and it was a great time. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will carry on doing this whenever I go and see independent shows. So let me know what you think. Does this, like, if you were there at the show, what was your favourite match? Which wrestlers have stood out for you? Because for me, Luke Jacobs, like, my guy is amazing. I'm so happy he's champion. If you've never heard of it, did any of them seem excited? Have you ever heard of the wrestlers before? Let me know in the comments. Speak to me on social media at wrestling_chat. I will be back soon, because remember, we are in the midst of the New Japan G1. So remember, like, hit that share button, and most importantly, press subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!